Hey guys, I'm Coldy. Welcome to the NHL 31 for 31 series where my buddy 418 and I give our thoughts on all 31 teams. We go over last year's stats and standings and give our predictions for the 2018-2019 season, as well as look at the top performers from each squad and pick a standout player for the upcoming season. We could hit the nail on the head or be smoking the reef, so let us know what you think down below. I'll see you out there.
All right, the dreaded Boston Bruins, bro. This is the team that I dislike the most in the entire league. And
I wonder why, bro.
I know I should be unbiased for this whole series, but to be honest, they've broken my heart too many times by eliminating the Leafs in Game 7. I hate them from top to bottom.
But you love them. You love them on your fantasy
season preview. Yes, exactly.
So
last year.
Yeah, go ahead. Rip it up.
Last year, they finished second in the conference, getting the home ice advantage against the Toronto Maple Leafs in the playoffs. They went on to beat the Leafs and then lose to Tampa Bay in the playoffs.
Correct.
I think they ran out of steam. The Leafs definitely, took out a big chunk of their stamina for the playoffs. They definitely did a number on them, and then they, when you play against Tampa Bay, who's the Stanley Cup favorite last year, it's a lot to. And again, I think that's maybe the main issue with the Atlantic Division and the way that the playoffs are set up is almost like you're set up to fail. I mean, the Leafs, Tampa Bay, and Boston last year were three powerhouse teams. And, it just seemed to be no end in sight for these guys. They look like they could all win the cup.
Mm-hmm.
After the first series, the Leafs are out. And after the second series, the Bruins are out.
Yes.
And now you got the Caps playing a Tampa team when, to be honest, the Caps barely squeaked by Columbus in their first round. So I just think there's a bit of a flawed system here. I kind of wish they'd go back to the 1-8-2-7. This year, players, obviously they got their top line, Pasternak, Marchand, Bergeron. Bergeron is still dealing with the back injury, I believe.
Yeah. Yep.
So he's got old man syndrome. I think he's going to have a tough year this year. I think he's had enough of carrying the load for these guys.
Well,
Marchand, Pasternak are going to step up.
Bergeron hasn't played in a preseason game this year. And not that I know from experience, but I can tell you once a player misses most of the summer, most of their offseason and preseason, like that's their get in shape time.
Yeah.
When you miss that, you're lagging behind the rest of the guys who are already in game form in the third, fourth game. Where for him, it's going to take him at least Now I don't know. He might be a fucking god and come out and just rip 7 hat tricks in the first month, but I doubt it. Yeah, exactly. So I think Pasternak, Marchand are gonna have to carry the offensive load for that line and even their whole team. But I like how the Bruins are built because although it didn't seem like it last year, they did have some young guns come up and they had some young guys be able to provide secondary scoring for them. So you look at DeBrusque, he had a great playoff. You look at Heinen, McAvoy on the back end played really well. And they still even have more younger guys coming, which is very hard to do, trying to implement young guys into a good team that's already built with veterans. It takes a lot of skill, and that's a thumbs up to management.
If I look though, I find they, in terms of depth, for some reason, they have the young speed guys. They have a good crop of veterans. I have a feeling David Backes is going to slow down this year.
Yes.
I have a feeling David Krejci is going to slow down again this year. I saw things from Krejci in the last year that I have not been a big fan of. I saw plays on the ice where he would give up on plays. He would give up on the back check. He wouldn't cover the high guy on the back check. And it's things that are kind of uncharacteristic of him. And then the whole thing about coming out and saying that he was upset that he wasn't notified about the Bruins chasing Tavares because he knew that would affect his role on the team.
Yeah.
It kind of, I get this like, excuse me, this like selfish vibe from him. And I think that it's going to affect him mentally, and that
100%.
he might die. He might kind of regress a little bit. And then if I look at their third line right now, based on dailyfaceoff.com, Ryan Donato, Danton Heinen, and Jacob Forsbacka Karlsson, who I've never heard of. I mean, that line, Donato 9 points last year. This Karlsson guy's 0. I assume he's a rookie. I haven't looked into him. Heinen had a good 47-point season. Then I look at their fourth line, Corrali, Noel Akari, is that it? And Anders Bjork. That fourth line is forgettable. And you look at the teams like the Leafs and the Tampas and the Pittsburghs and the Washingtons, that the fourth lines are still lines that can put up points for you.
Well, you look at Washington in the playoffs this year. Ovechkin and Backstrom and Oshie, they had okay playoffs, but it was their second and third line that actually pushed them over the edge, and I think that's what they didn't have in the last few years.
Exactly what I'm saying. No, you're right. Like, that's what I'm saying. I look at their fourth line. I don't think they have secondary scoring there. I look at their third line. Heinen's going to do it all himself on that line. And then the second line, Krejci, Backes. If they take a step back and DeBrusque is leading that line and Patrice Bergeron's hurt, they're not the powerhouse they were a year ago. The back end, it still looks good. Chara is still a beast. He's slowed down offensively, but he's still a big dude that's hard to get around. Charlie McAvoy, Torrey Krug, Brandon Carlo, and then Kevin Miller, John Moore. I mean, on the back end, they're solid. They have a good 3 pairings of Ds. So for sure, I mean, I think they're still going to be a force in the East. I just for me personally, I believe the standings are going to go Lightning, Leafs, Bruins. Do you have any? Is that different for you? Wait, you see Leafs, Bruins as being 1-2 and
no, Lightning, Leafs, Bruins in their division. Do you see the Bruins falling out of that third spot, second/third spot, just like last year? I have them pinned to finish the exact same way, and it's not because they've gotten better. I think it's because the other teams they just in their division, there's no one that can really come close to what they have.
Right. And I mean, if I'm looking at it that way, I guess you could be correct. Like in their division, it's hard to tell. I mean, Sabres, Sens, Habs, Wings.
I think
Yeah.
honestly, I think the only team that can actually,
Panthers.
yeah,
for sure.
it's the Panthers.
I think you know what, dude. I would say Panthers finish higher than the Bruins this year.
Okay.
And you know what? I see 5 teams in the Metro that are going to make the playoffs. I see Bruins as missing the playoffs.
So you
And
think there's going to be 2 wild cards in the Metro?
I believe
none in the Atlantic.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? Either that or Florida. But I honestly think, Caps, Pens, Flyers, Hurricanes might be good this year. Blue Jackets, Devil. I mean, there are so many, apart from the 2 New York teams, I think that the Metro is going to be solid.
Yeah. I honestly don't see I actually don't see any wild card spots in the Atlantic. I just think the teams that are in the Metro are they're better than Florida, who is the only team that I think can contend.
So just back to Boston. So key players, any players that you have in mind that have a big standout year or maybe fall off the wagon a little bit?
Yeah. I have one for each.
Okay.
And you touched on him earlier. My fall off the wagon is Krejci. Like you said, he felt threatened by Tavares, which, to be honest, the NHL, the sport, is a business. And if Buddy is gone because another player took his spot, well, I'm sorry, bro, but it's just the way she goes.
And he's sensitive about it. Like, the team didn't, the GM didn't call me to tell me they're going to pursue him. Like, dude, it's John Tavares. Like, just assume that your job's always on the line. Work your ass off and be quiet. Put your head down and
it's almost
about that.
And it's almost like well, he's going to put himself first before the team. Like, if any team were to get John Tavares, the entire roster is juiced. Yeah. They're because it means more wins for them. He's that good of a player. He can literally take the team and just go, listen, I'm going to force our way to a win here.
Yeah.
And for him to just be like, well, the fucking manager didn't, call me. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, exactly.
Come on,
that's
bro.
Yeah.
My standout good player, Charlie McAvoy. I think he had a great year last year. 2 years ago, he started in the playoffs, and to be honest, I think that kind of rejuvenated their back end. Because Char's getting older. Krug is probably in his prime right now. But they got rid of... I forgot the D's name. Buddy, who smashed himself into the fucking end boards and gave himself a concussion a few years ago.
Hold on, your mic cut out.
Mick something.
Adam McQuaid?
Adam McQuaid. Fucking
yeah.
dummied himself into the boards a few years ago.
Yeah.
He's gone. They have a couple of younger guys, even younger than McAvoy and Krug, but I think McAvoy, for them to have some good success, other than Chara and Krug, McAvoy's gotta step it up,
And you know where I think they messed up in the short term. I think their moves long term are beneficial to them because they added young guys and in their farm system. They got rid of Tommy Wingles, Tim Schaller, Riley Nash and Rick Nash and Adam McQuaid, Nick Holden, Brian Giunta. They got rid of a bunch of veteran guys who could have filled out that bottom 6. And that's again why I don't think that they have the 4 complete lines. If I need to pick a player to have a breakout year, I hate his face because he was great in the playoffs. I think DeBrusk is going to have a great year. I just think that he's going to be one of those guys to look out for. I will never cheer for him, and I will never take him in my fantasy pool. But I can tell you right now, I think he's going to have a good year. And then finally, let's just touch on goaltending a little bit. They pick up Yaroslav Halak as their backup goalie.
Yep. Get rid of Khudobin.
Khudobin, I thought was a solid goalie.
Yeah.
They had a good backup in him, but I guess Yarrow brings that veteran angle. He
100%.
didn't have didn't have that great of a win-loss record last year, and a pretty high goals against average of 3.19. But Tuukka, man, it's going to depend on his start of the year. Last year, he started the year, he was crap.
And again, I'm surprised by Khudobin, the move from Khudobin. Played 31 games, had 16 wins, so gives you a 0.5 chance to win every game. Which as a backup goalie, I think that's pretty good. You know,
for sure.
he had,
I thought he was.
yeah, he had 6 losses, and then he had 7 OT losses. So right there, he already had more OT losses than Rask. If he can cut that down, which I think is why another team maybe sought after to get him.
Where'd he go?
Did he go Dallas?
Dallas.
I think he went Dallas, which I also believe is a team that does need a good backup goalie, someone they can rely on, because Bishop is a Band-Aid.
He is. And who was it? I thought they had a good tandem. Who was
It was no, it was Bishop and Lettinen.
Oh, Lettinen. So
Yeah.
where's Lettinen now?
He's letting 10 in. Bad joke. Anyways,
Anyway, yeah. So that's I think we can call it on this one here. I think we keep exceeding our fucking time limits, but
that's all right. We're
This
gonna
is
cut
fun.
it down. We're gonna say thank you to our sponsors. Then I'd like to thank you, Hyundai,
We're not
Volkswagen. We're definitely sponsored. Don't listen to Larry. Oh shit! I just gave out your real name. Who'd I say? Hyundai, Volkswagen, and that's it.
That's it. That's all the car models you can think of.
They're ours. That's why. Peace!